Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the reason that we prepare is in order to maintain our standard of living that we live every day. Therefore, if there are things that you know or think that may become unavailable in the future, it's probably a good idea to get it now while it is still plentiful on the shelves. That way we don't have to revert back to the great toilet paper shortage of 2020 where people were banging each other over the head with toilet paper. Ask yourself a question. During the great toilet paper shortage, if you were in the know, as you should be now, were you fighting with someone in the supermarket over toilet paper? I remember watching it on screen, but I wasn't fighting over it because I already had it. I took the time to prepare ahead of time just in case, and that just in case came to be. Now, are you going to prepare for the things that are going to be in shortage over the next 6 months to a year due to the things that are going on today, i.e. tariffs, i.e. geopolitical issues, i.e. super high inflation? Yes, inflation is going down. However, the inflation that we've already experienced is here to stay. And inflation never disappears, meaning what? That the price that you pay for things today is only going to get higher as the years go by. So are you preparing today? Because the way that things look in the world, and especially in our country, the United States of America, it looks like we're going to have some shortages of items that we depend on every day. Before I continue, I want to say thank you to everyone that's watching. Please give this video a like. And if you want to support what I do, take a look at the links that I provide in the description of every one of my videos. Right now, if you're looking for water purifiers or RO systems, SIMPURE is having a really big sale. In addition to that, OUPES is having the biggest sale and the best prices that they've ever had on their solar generators. So if you're in the market for any of these items, go check them out, and by supporting yourselves with good quality items, you'll also be helping me out. So thank you very much in advance. This is why empty shelves and painful shortages of certain items are coming. What are those certain items, ladies and gentlemen? Well, this is why we inform ourselves ahead of time. This is what you call actionable intel. It's not intel that tells you, hey, the world is ending, the world is ending. No, it's, hey, this is probably going to happen in the future, so look into it a little bit further by yourselves so that you can convince yourself whether or not you should stock up on these items. And by the way, I always share the links on a pinned comment with any articles that we go over so that you can be better informed. We are about to find out what happens when thousands of very popular products are suddenly no longer available for sale. Now, ladies and gentlemen, understand this. I am all for bringing back manufacturing to the United States of America. Nothing better than buying something that is American made. And believe it or not, you see that American flag behind me. It was a little bit difficult finding one that's actually made here in the United States of America, but that one was. A lot of Amazon shoppers have been shocked to learn that some of their favorite products have already disappeared. And when I look at that, ladies and gentlemen, when I read that, it tells me a couple of things. Not only that some of these products are no longer available, but what about the businesses that actually depend on the income on selling those products? They are going to suffer as well. There are entire stores on Amazon that are now completely gone. Walmart, Target, Home Depot, and our largest dollar store chains are all going to have to figure out new ways to fill their shelves in the months ahead. Do you depend on these stores in order to get things that you need? If you do, you may want to stock up on those things today to make sure that you have them tomorrow when you need them. Now listen to this, because I haven't really heard this talked about too much. Those that wish to export products to the United States will soon have to pay enormous port fees on top of the tariffs that have already been announced. So for products that are coming in from China, on top of the tariffs, they're going to have to pay an elevated port fee. And any ship that is flying the Chinese flag will have to pay a larger port fee as well. So it's not just the tariffs, it's going to be port fees also. And I guarantee you that some of these port fees are probably going to bankrupt some companies that just can't afford to compete with those much higher elevated prices. Some companies will still attempt to sell Chinese-made products in the United States, but they will be forced to hike their prices extremely high. Get what you need now, ladies and gentlemen. Get it now. You're being told ahead of time. All right. So if you fail to act now, later on, 6 months down the road, 9 months, a year, you're going to find yourselves not being able to afford what you enjoy today. In many other cases, companies will simply decide that it no longer makes economic sense to sell those products in the United States. This will increase demand for similar goods that are produced right here in the US. And what happens when there's an increase in demand is going to mean higher prices, more of your time, more of your labor. Remember that inflation, no matter in what form, steals your labor. It takes away from you your time because now you find yourselves having to work more hours just to afford the same amount of goods and services that you did in the past. And they continue to say, of course, there are many instances where there are no similar goods made in the United States. Let's say, for example, like solar panels. And those, in my opinion, are going to go up in price dramatically. I believe that India is trying to position itself into being the solar panel capital of the world, but they have not realized that as of now. And even if all of our factories were running at full capacity, there is just no way that we could hope to replace the tsunami of products that is normally imported just from China. It's going to take time. There is going to be pain between now and the finish line. So prepare now, ladies and gentlemen. That way your pain can be diminished that much more. Yes, we can build new factories, but that will take years. It also comes with a lot of risk. Companies take on a lot of risk when they put millions, if not billions of dollars into building new infrastructure here in the United States. Less than 4 years from now, a new administration could come in and totally reverse current trade policies. And that's what these companies are afraid of. If Chinese goods started pouring back into our country at that point, what would happen to those that invested giant mountains of money into new U.S. factories? What would happen, ladies and gentlemen? Human nature. You're going to get what's cheaper. You may say, I will never buy anything made from this country or that country. But when it comes down to the fact that you only have enough money to pay your rent or your mortgage and your basic bills, and then you have a little left over to maybe get some discretionary items that are being sold in company A or company B, if they're about the same, you're more than likely going to go with the cheaper item. The author says, I don't think that we are going to see a huge wave of factory construction because the risk of being wiped out when a new administration comes is just too great. And I have to say that I agree with this statement. I hope that it plays out where corporations come in and build factories after factories after factories, creating really good jobs that can allow Americans to once again chase that American dream. And this right here is going to have a great impact on the price of things that we can still get. The Federal Register notice posted by the U.S. Trade Representative on Thursday said the U.S. government will charge fees on all Chinese-built and owned ships docking in U.S. ports based on net tonnage or goods carried on each voyage. And the new fees are going to be enforced in around 180 days. So that's why I'm saying in the next 6 months, start stocking up slow and steady. You don't have to go out right now and stock up everything that you know you're going to need, but stock up slow and steady. If you have the resources to do so, by all means, go on a prepping shopping trip. But slow and steady always wins the race. And it makes perfect sense that once these port fees go into effect, no one's going to want to be importing anything into the U.S. that's being transported on Chinese-built ships or ships that are flying a Chinese flag here into the United States. Of course, these new port fees will have a tremendous chilling effect on trade with everyone else as well, because Chinese-made vessels will soon represent, listen to this, Chinese-made vessels will soon represent 98% of the trade ships on the world's ocean. I've never known that before. That most of the ships that you see out there transporting goods from point A to point B are Chinese-made ships. So ladies and gentlemen, in the end, you're going to do what you're going to do. For people that can afford to get whatever they want, whenever they want, they're probably not going to have a problem. But that's probably only about 5% of the people in the U.S. So I'm talking to the 95% of you that are struggling today just to keep your heads above water. Any bit of extra income that you have, you should be looking at it into how can I prepare with this so that 6 months from now, when this item A, B, or C becomes 2 or 3 times more expensive than what it is, that I can still have it, especially those items that your family needs to operate on a daily basis. I'm not talking about toys. I'm talking about things that you're going to need to sustain your everyday life. Make sure that your family has clean water. Make sure that your family is fed. Clothing. For goodness gracious, laundry soap, bathing soap, shampoo, toilet paper, right? Don't forget the toilet paper, all right? A good exercise for you to partake in is when you wake up in the morning, write down what's the first thing that you do. Besides relieving yourself, right? You probably go and conduct some personal hygiene. You probably go and brush your teeth. You floss. Have you thought about putting away extra floss? If you floss, you water pick if you do that as well. What are the things that you need in order to effectively get through the day from the time that you get up to the time that you come home and then go to bed? Right? I'm going to leave it at that. Again, I will leave the link to this on a pinned comment so that you can go visit it. And to recap the sale that OUPES and SIMPURE are having, OUPES is literally having the best prices that I've ever seen them have. So if you're in the market to get a good solar generator in order to keep electricity flowing during times of outages, go check them out. SIMPURE is having a great sale on RO systems, countertop systems, under the sink systems, etc. So if you don't have a way to purify your water, to make sure that the water that you're drinking is clean, make sure that you look into it. I have several links for other things. Again, I thank you very much for all of your support. God bless every one of you, and God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that I already signed off. However, this is a company that I don't talk about nearly enough, and it's Jase Medical. It's a company that has figured out a way to legally offer you prescription medications in the case that they are not available. Their most popular item is the Jase case, and the Jase case includes 5 popular antibiotics that are life-saving in certain situations, ladies and gentlemen. It treats over 50 infections, and you can also add on to your Jase case at checkout. So for example, let's say that you want to get ivermectin, and there are others that you can add on to your order at checkout. In addition to the Jase case, my favorite option is to have a 1-year supply of life-saving medication that you already take. So for example, let's say that you need some kind of a medication for a chronic illness that you have that you know you're going to take on an extended basis. Well, on top of your prescribed medication from your doctor, you can get an additional 12 months through Jase Medical. That way you know that you will always have your medication instead of having your average 2 to 3 month supply that's provided to you by your pharmacy. And lastly, Jase Medical has thought about everything. They have medication kits for UTIs, for dental, and even for gout. So if you haven't thought about what you would do in the case that the medication that you take on a regular basis is not available, take a look at Jase Medical. I will also leave them on a pinned comment so that you can easily get the link. And I will leave a coupon code that will save you, I think it's $10 off your order.